Seiko has no shortage of legendary dive watches, whether it's the SKX or 62 Moss, but perhaps even more iconic are two others, the Willard and the Turtle. There are differences between the two watches, but they both have a distinctive case shape that is unlike any other watch in Seiko's catalog. The Turtle is a great everyday workhorse diver. Its rounded case earned it the nickname Turtle and is known for being extremely wearable despite its slightly larger case size. Affordable, durable, and mod-friendly, the Turtle became a fan favorite among collectors and enthusiasts who wanted a reliable tool watch without a high price tag. The Willard, on the other hand, is a Vietnam-era tool watch. The original 6105 was worn by soldiers during the war and famously worn by Martin Sheen as Captain Willard in Apocalypse Now. The helmet shape and crown guard made it distinct from any other watch of its time, and it's considered one of the quintessential Seiko divers that cemented their reputation for making professional-grade tool watches. The Turtle and Willard are both Hall of Fame Seikos that sit in different price points and different eras. The typical Turtle model currently sells for around $500 up to $1,200, and premium limited editions like the SLA 033 can stretch up to $4,200. On average, a vintage Seiko Willard sells in the $1,000 to $2,300 range, depending on reference and condition. Not only are these prices a bit high, but sourcing one can be a bit of a challenge, especially since you have to hit up the secondary market, which does come with some risks. The next best option is an homage, a watch that gives you the look and feel of these iconic divers, but at a fraction of the cost. And there's no better option than Addiesdive. The AD2057 is one of the brand's latest releases, and it takes that familiar design but gives it enough unique characteristics to make it special and stand out. And it's not a straight up one-to-one copy, and I think that's really awesome. I will note Addiesdive does make other variations of this watch, like the 2117 with the white desert texture dial and the H8 that does retain the classic black dial, but it's this newest rendition that is the most interesting and different from the OG, so it's a win-win. This model comes in 3 dial colors, blue or green on the bezel, both on a white dial, along with an all-black option that is the one I have here. To start, let's take a look at the dimensions. The watch has a 43.8mm diameter, and only including the bezel, it comes to 41.5. A bit wide, but as mentioned, because of the case design, the watch does sit on the wrist really comfortably and looks really fantastic. I have a 7-inch wrist and think it looks amazing. Great wrist presence without being over the top, and there's plenty of wiggle room for smaller or larger wrist sizes. The case length, also known as lug to lug, is 46.8 millimeters, and the thickness is just 12 mil. These dimensions definitely help with overall comfort and allowing the watch to wear a lot smaller than you might think. The case is so darn interesting, and Seiko really nailed the design. The thought of a case wrapping around the dial and not transitioning to the crown guards but becoming them does sound a bit weird, but somehow it works really well. It's always fun seeing a different approach to designing a watch case, and that is definitely one of the many reasons that earned the Willard its legendary status. The case does feature some nice contrasting between polishing and brushing. I've always been intrigued by this watch along with the Turtle, which does have some differences but also uses the similar case design with the crown guards becoming part of the case. Aside from the interesting case design and really great dimensions, the dial is another big standout of the watch, and I'm really enjoying it. These vertical deep groove stripes look really nice in person. They give the watch just the right amount of that extra character to make it stand out and have a ton of personality, but not seem weird or out of place. I think anyone familiar with Seiko seeing this watch in person will know it looks familiar, but it definitely has a unique, different look, so they will know it's something different. The way the chunky hour markers sit on top of the linen-inspired dial is really stylish and premium. They not only are applied with generous amounts of lume, giving off a crisp white finish, but have a polished framing that helps give the whole look a more elevated appearance. Sometimes date windows at the 3 o'clock could be a little hit or miss for me, but it really works well here, and I like how it finishes out that hour marker and just keeps that symmetrical look to the dial. I also like how the text has been simple and effective, and it just has the usual branding up top. Powering the watch is a Japanese 2115 quartz movement, so accuracy will be spot on. If you would have offered me a quartz watch about 10 years ago, I probably would have laughed a little bit and said, no thanks. But I've really come to appreciate what quartz has to offer and the benefits that they provide. Mechanical watches are what really attracted me to collecting, all the small, intricate parts working together to power a watch just by winding it and the movement of my arm. But being that I wear different watches throughout the week, always having to remember to wind them and reset the time can be a bit of an inconvenience, so it's really nice to just be able to throw on a Quartz watch and you're good to go. As far as the protection, this watch is as durable as it is good looking. On top is a flat sapphire crystal with an anti-reflective coating, so legibility is fantastic and you could really see the cool dial in all its glory without a ton of reflections. I really like how the crystal is flat, meaning flush with the bezel, helping with that great thin profile, and I just like how it looks more refined and clean. There's also a bit of a beveled edge to the crystal, which I think adds to the visual appeal. Overall, a great sapphire crystal that provides the scratch resistance that we want, while also adding to some style points. The watch is also rated for 200 meters of water resistance, and there's a screw-down crown and case back, so I'm confident in that number. I've worn many Addiesdive watches and never had an issue with water resistance or fogging on the dial, so you could definitely wear with confidence. Surrounding the crystal is, of course, the bezel, in this case a coin edge style that is an absolute home run. What always surprises me about Addiesdive is the quality of their watches and the price point that they offer them at. Pretty much all of their watches are way below $100, usually around $50 like this one, and you never guess that price because of just how well made it is. Looking at this coin edge bezel, you could see the clean machine work and how the cuts creating each groove is even, polished beautifully, and feels great to grip. Really great bezel action for sure, there's no backplay, and everything lines up where it should. No sharp edges at all, and the rotation is really fantastic. Another nice feature of this bezel is it's lume filled. So not only does the dial and hands shine bright in blue BGW9, but as does the bezel. It looks awesome. The watch does come equipped on this 3-link oyster-style bracelet, and this is another area that always surprises me by this brand because their bracelets are really nice. The links are solid, and the clasp is comfortable and well made. I will point out that the clasp is not fully milled, it's stamped, but not cheap or thin at all. You can't really bend it with your hands, so it is almost as solid as a fully milled version, but when it's fully closed and on the wrist, you not only can't tell that it's stamped, but it's just as solid. So I do think that is a little bit of a moot point. A fully milled clasp would make the watch a little bit heavier, and it's already pretty big to begin with, so if anything, it's almost a benefit. It's not flimsy, so don't hesitate to pick this one up if you are concerned about the clasp. There's also 3 micro-adjustable holes to help get the perfect fit. I also think this watch has the perfect design and style to be a wonderful strap monster, so feel free to throw it on leather, canvas, or rubber to mix up the look and give it a different personality. I'm a huge fan of strap swapping from time to time, especially on watches I've owned for a while. It really gives it a new life. Anyone who owns at least one watch should invest in just a simple basic spring bar tool and some straps, but that's just me. The price is currently $67 on AliExpress, and there's also a $7 discount code I'll put in the description, taking it down to just $55. Yeah, a really great price for a watch that I guarantee you will be pleased with. I'm really glad to finally have a version of the iconic Seiko Willard on my wrist, but it's tough to always get my hands on every watch, so it was well worth the wait. I do now need to try out the Turtle because I really like the way that the case becomes the crown guards a lot more than I ever expected, so it will be cool just to see what that one feels like. What do you all think of this watch? That's it for today. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.